This Saturday, Glenn Beck, not Fox News, is hosting an event at the Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C. to celebrate America. It's called Restoring Honor Rally. It starts at 10 o'clock in the morning. But some people are upset because it's being held on the 47th anniversary of Martin Luther King's I Have a Dream speech. Joining us right now is the president of the National Action Network, the Reverend Al Sharpton. Good morning to you, Reverend.
Good morning.
You have held for many years a rally in Washington, D.C. on the same day.
We've held rallies in Washington and other places. 2 years ago, we held it in Denver. The Democratic Convention had a breakfast. Because on that day, it symbolized the day that the Civil Rights Movement really arrested the attention of the world on what was going on in the country in terms of inequality.
Okay, so Glenn Beck has been apparently planning on this event, dreaming it up in his head what it would be for about a year and a half. He asked the Park Service when the mall would be available. They gave him that date. And so that is the reason it's going to be held on that particular date, because it was available for the whole mall. They had openings in the schedule and stuff like that. Do you have a problem with him doing it there?
First of all, no one contested his permit. Mr. Beck, anyone else has the right to gather.
Sure.
What we take issue with is when he says it has anything to do with Dr. King's speech that day, unless that is what they're going to talk about. We're having our rally and our march at Dunbar High School. We're marching from there to where the King Monument will be built. Martin Luther King III will be joining civil rights leaders and others around that. So if Mr. Beck and others want to have a rally, fine. But when they start saying that whites alone don't own Abe Lincoln or blacks Martin Luther King, I agree with that.
That's not what this rally is about. It is described on his website as a chance to honor our heroes, heritage, and our future, you know, looking at the principles of integrity, truth, and honor.
Yeah, but
it's not political.
He's having it, well, I don't know if Sarah Palin being the speaker is not political, but
well, she's going to be there because her son is in the military and she's going to introduce him to military growth.
And we support our troops. We support them when they're home. That's why we want to make sure that they have health care and other things. But I think that it is important to understand that a lot of the people that are raising issue is because it's on that day and the location, Lincoln Memorial, because you could be a lot of places in the mall other than the steps of Lincoln Memorial, and the location where King made that speech. If people go to nationalactionnetwork.net, they can read King's speech. You can have a different opinion than I do on King. You cannot have a different fact. We've listed the speech on nationalactionnetwork.net. People will see what he said and see that what we're saying that day is to bring into this time what Dr. King expressed in his dream.
Well, you know, apparently after he realized that it was on this particular date, the coincidence, he invited Dr. Alveda King, who is Martin Luther King's niece, and she happily accepted. She said, she's quoted as saying, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s legacy, like the Lincoln Memorial itself, belongs to all Americans. I am participating in Glenn Beck's Restoring Honor Rally, not to advance any political agenda, but to advance the concept of honor in our nation.
Beautiful. And Martin Luther King's son, Martin III, who leads the civil rights group, and other civil rights leaders, Urban League and ACP, civil rights community will be at Dunbar High School marching to the King Monument. I think that this is not about taking anyone's legacy. That day was a speech given. I've told you where you can go read the speech, and we'll be talking about what that speech means today, given the inequality and employment and jobs and education and other things.
And you've been on Glenn Beck's show before. You have marched with him against
Well, he's
rap
marched with us against rap music. We don't agree on most things. We won't agree Saturday. But he has the right to march, and we have the right to march, and we'll be marching around King's dream.
All right. Reverend Al Sharpton, we thank you very much. We should point out that Glenn Beck is going to be joining us live from Washington, D.C., just in about 40 minutes.
The 9/12 group was scheduled a rally just like last year on 9/12, and it was on a Sunday. I didn't want to do it on a Sunday, which left Saturday open. Saturday is 9/11. That's clearly a date that pops to everybody's mind as an inappropriate date to do something that was a rally. We picked August 28th. It was open in my schedule, open in the park, and we could get the entire mall because we didn't know exactly what we were going to do at the time, and I wanted to make sure that we had enough buffer because I knew exactly what would happen. When I announced it, the New York Times blogged immediately that this was MLK Day, and I immediately said, oh my gosh, what, I mean, I knew that that would be a date that a lot of people would immediately jump to and say, how dare Glenn Beck? I knew the trouble that was coming. We're not doing it for any other reason other than it's about honor. I'd like to ask everybody who is against this rally, first of all, seeing that I'm the only one that has the full plan in my head on exactly what's going to happen, what do you know that I don't know? And are you really, what part of honor are you against? What is Al Sharpton trying to make the point that we are a country that is full up on honor? No, we've got enough. What are our problems caused from? A lack of character and honor.
Why don't we hear from him real quickly, and then we'll get you a response after that.
Mr. Beck, anyone else has the right to gather.
Sure.
What we take issue with is when he says it has anything to do with Dr. King's speech that day, unless that is what they're going to talk about. But I think that it is important to understand that a lot of the people that are raising issue is because it's on that day and the location, Lincoln Memorial, because you could be a lot of places in the mall other than the steps of Lincoln Memorial, in the location where King made that speech.
Glenn, there is no connection to Martin Luther King. Your rally, Restoring the Honor rally, is to restore the honor in America, to honor heroes, heritage, and our future. There have been some people in the media or bloggers who have tried to make some connection.
We would have never made the connection to Martin Luther King if everybody else isn't making the connection to Martin Luther King. However, if they're going to make that connection, here it is. What was the solution? As I was looking for the solution in America, because America is on fire, what is the problem? The problem is we're not honorable. We don't have a lack of liquidity. We have a lack of trust in this country. We have a lack of honor. So as I'm looking for that, I realize what has to happen. Well, now that everybody's bringing up Martin Luther King, what was his solution to the civil rights? Content of character, to be God-driven, honorable people of character. Well, that's a universal answer. So does it have anything to do with his speech? No. But is his speech right? Yes, for not just civil rights, but all rights of mankind.
All right, let's move on to another topic. I know this is going to get under your skin. You remember 9/11? You'll never forget it. On 9/11, a lot of people, first responders, went in there and slowly were finding out that they basically were walking around with a death sentence, glass in their lungs, problems with their eyes, cancer was growing inside them. Therefore, there needs some type of financial compensation, at which time they sued for it. The city is going for a settlement, and they finally got it to all those first responders and others, $700 million. We find out the legal fees take 25% of that, and we find out now the majority leader in New York, Sheldon Silver, is part of a Counsel Financial Services, an investor there, that charged 18% of money that this legal team needed in advance. So this legal team needs the money that they took to fight this. They have to take that from the first responders' families from that award, and we find out that Sheldon Silver will be getting all the money back, plus the 18% interest. He's an investor in this. How can that be?
I don't know, because maybe the country needs to restore honor. Is this something that is illegal? I don't think so, but we should look into it. It's like the mosque. Should the mosque have the right to do it? Yes. Do we have to have people that are investing in these kinds of firms to help people win lawsuits? Yes. Should he have done that? No. Is this a lack of honor? Absolutely. I think it's pretty despicable. Pretty despicable. Our whole system of governance is just riddled with slime.
All right, Glenn Beck, who is down in Washington for the rally, his rally, the Restoring Honor rally. It's this Saturday. It's nonpartisan, non-political, not affiliated.
Leave your
with
signs
Fox.
at home.
Check it out. Glenn, we thank you very much for joining us live.
Thank you, guys.
He looks good in the D.C. Bureau, but we miss you here, Glenn.
I miss being there.
All right, yeah, and he was in Mount Vernon over the weekend. That's an unbelievable trip.
It's a great trip.